Well, you're watching the 2021 IndyCar iRacing Series. It's round 8 of 15, the virtual Mid-Ohio sports car course. 68 laps of exciting action from the amazing competitors here in the IndyCar iRacing Series. It's Friday, July 2nd. I hope you're strapped in for a great afternoon of action. It's VirtualRacing.Network's live, uninterrupted coverage of the IndyCar iRacing Series. So glad to have you along with us. My name, of course, is Trevor Greenfield, and we are getting set for what should be a great race for at least one of our championship contenders and a bunch of drivers that we've been seeing pop up in some races, but haven't necessarily made their way to the front yet. So as we take a look, the cars are just getting out onto the track. And of course, to just catch you up, we're getting set for qualifying here. Some of the cars coming out, and we'll take a look at that in a moment. So we switch over and see who of the favorites has headed out. We do have Dan Piazza heading out on track at the moment. There we go. So Dan was actually the fastest in the pre-race practice. And again, just to catch you up, last week, or excuse me, 2 weeks ago, Road America, it was Adam Crane coming back from a very poor qualifying effort and being all the way in the back of the field and coming all the way to the front, passing Henry Bennett along the way, his championship rival. So Adam Crane in this race, as well as he did participate in the Wednesday afternoon race. However, that race he only finished 5th, Adam being the leading championship driver at the moment in the IndyCar iRacing Series. So because of him only finishing 5th, we come into this race today here on Friday, and this is going to be the highest strength of field. Adam is going to be looking to get the maximum amount of points for this week, and the fact that neither Henry Bennett nor his Adam's closest competitor Hugo Olsson are in this race, neither one choosing to compete today. I just had to double check and make sure they didn't sneak in at the last minute. 45 drivers are scheduled to compete, and that also is basically double the number that were qualified for Wednesday's race. So it's great to have you all with us. Welcome from wherever you're watching from around the world. As you can tell, we have such a great international group of drivers participating. As we take a look at our series defending champion and series leading driver at the moment, Adam Crane loses it on his qualifying lap. That was his first lap, so he'll get another. We'll have to see if he can. Not sure exactly. We'll take a look here, see if we can see exactly what took place for Adam. It's coming. Yeah, it's so easy to do. Gets very light right there, so we go back now to the live picture of Adam. We'll have to see whether he can recover from that. Take a look at another driver who's actually put a quick time in, and that's this man, Eric Troiano, who won the race on Wednesday. The Brazilian, not an unfamiliar name to those of you who have been watching the IndyCar scene for quite a while. Frequently pops up in the top of the charts. Now we can see Dan Piazza puts his name to the top of the charts. And we'll go back and see if we can go on board for Adam Crane for the end of his race. Just as I say that, James Nance goes up to the top of the board. And again, Adam Crane, our champion, having issues on his second lap as well. Not able to put in a solid qualifying effort. Looks like he's going to have to do the same heroics that he had to do in our last race. So we can see that also this man, as soon as we get back over to him, oh, he must have come into the pits, but Andreas Eick making it to the top of the charts. So a 106.56 for Andreas Eich, a 106.58 for Nance, very close, 106.66 and a 106.72. So these drivers extremely close, with Rick Schiavon coming in now, Schiavon, excuse me, coming in, the Italian slotting into 4th place, and James Nance now pokes his head back above, says, I am the top of the pylon, a 106.50 for Nance on that last lap. Great lap. So, as far as championship implications go, this is, you know, this is a race where Adam Crane could have just have qualified on the pole and walked away with it, cementing his lead in the championship and taking the maximum amount of points. But it looks like Crane will have to start from darn near the back of the pack. So we're just going to wait until we see us get a official end to the session, and then we'll be able to tell you the full running order, which of course you can see on the left hand side in our window. Still actually a couple of cars on track. I didn't realize that. We still have Cesar Manzato just finishing his lap. Cesar up in the top of the points. Take a look at the points here in just a minute. And so Cesar, good enough for 6 quick there, a 106.98. So we're also seeing Andrew Marquez returning for the broadcast, as well as Alexis Newsom, Matthias Kraus, one of our championship leaders at the moment. See Alex Haglund still shown circling the track here. Currently shown in 18th place. I believe he's actually on his cool-down lap at the moment. And we just wait for the qualifying session to go official. So again, the big story here, series defending champion and current points leader Adam Crane having 2 off tracks already to start this race. Adam only finishing 5th in the Wednesday race. That was a much smaller field of only about 27 and a much smaller strength of field. So it's sort of trending and looking like this Friday race is the race to be in if you want to race for the points in this championship. Obviously, that potentially coinciding with the fact that we're doing the broadcasting here. So many people wanting to appear on those broadcasts. So we watch and wait, and finally, we go official. So your order here on the screen, as soon as I can get rid of that tower. We've got James Nance in first. Great pole position for James. We haven't mentioned his name on the broadcast yet, but there he is at the top, the American. Second place, Andreas Eich. And Andreas, not unfamiliar at all to anybody paying attention to the IndyCar iRacing scene at the moment. Andreas, very quick, frequent top finishers, won several big races. Dan Piazza starting 3rd. He's really shown that he has the speed. He's someone to watch out for. Then 4th, Rick Schiavon. I apologize for mispronouncing your name. Let me know afterwards how to pronounce it properly. Number 4, or that's starting 4th. 5th, Eric Troiano, Wednesday's winner. 6th, Cesar Manzato. 7th, Max Kaiser. 8th, Andrew Marquez. 9th, Alexis Newsom. 10th, Matthias Kraus. And we're gritting up here, so we're getting all set for the action. Matthias has yet to drop into the grid. Then we've got Richard Crozier in 11th place. Starting in 12th, it will be Brendan Burcroft. Chris Willite, one of our oval masters, still trying to get the hang of this road course thing and qualifying in 13th place today. So that's going to be a little tough for him to find his way necessarily to the front. So we can see the rest of the drivers starting here. Chris Willite, they're in 13th. Dennis Fritz in 14th. Robin Glennox, a championship contender, but again, starting from so far back, it's going to be difficult to get those crucial points for the championship. So then 16th, Zachary Gregory, 17th. As we get ready to go green, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we are green here at Mid-Ohio. Didn't realize it was such a short pace lap. It's James Nance into turn 1 as we take a look a little bit further back. We'll see if we can catch any of these drivers having moments. It's Andreas Ike defending the inside from Dan Piazza into the keyhole as they head off the back. A little bit more action further back. It's Eric Troiano and Max Kaiser. Kaiser in the red and white car, and Troiano there in the green machine. Just up ahead, it's Dan Piazza trying to make a move down the inside of Andreas Ike. No go. A little bit further back, we've got another pass happening. A little bit of action happening at the start of this race, but in the meantime, no problem up front for James Nance. Walking away a little bit, putting a little gap on Andreas Ike, shown in second. And Dan Piazza in third. So, because we didn't get a chance, let's take a look at the weather for today's race. We've got a, goodness gracious, it's so small on my screen. I believe it's 8 miles an hour crosswind, as well as 109 track temp. As we see perhaps a car going off in the back, we'll have to go take a look at that. That is Rydek Sikora going off. There you go, turn 1, and then coming back on track. Actually, that was not turn 1. That was an earlier incident. When we look back at the front, there's Andreas Ike almost touching wheels, perhaps touching wheels, and Piazza trying desperately to get around. Unable to do so, Ike defends the position, hanging on to second. So tight battling up front. Piazza will have to regroup. We've got a 1.4 second gap from Nance to Ike, and then about a second back to Piazza. We've got, it looked like Troiano making the move down the inside of Rick Shiven and not able to do so. So a lot of drivers trying to get it done, but not quite able to. And we start to stretch out into a bit of a single file line. Meanwhile, if we're curious, if you look a ways back, all the way down the track there, yep, that's Adam Crane coming up from his 20th place starting spot, now making a move down the inside of Dennis Fritz. This position for 14th on track. Sorry, for 13th. So Adam now has gained 7 places, and he finds himself chasing down the number 8 car just ahead, as you can see on board here with Matthias Kraus from Bavaria. Proud to have, again, such a great international cast of stars joining us here in this IndyCar iRacing series as we keep a watch out for the front as well. James Nance putting in the fastest lap of the race thus far, a 107.81. Nobody able to match that pace thus far, so looks like a number of drivers in the 107s, and we see Cesar Manzato here using his push to pass. Perhaps he's in 7th place trying to outrun Alexis Newsom, who's just behind. The American now making herself known on broadcast Fridays in the IndyCar iRacing series, and trying to chase down Cesar Manzato. But up front, it's this guy, James Nance. We haven't mentioned his name at all. We have, I don't think we've seen him on a broadcast Friday for the IndyCar iRacing series, and yet here he is putting on a display and able to do pretty much whatever he wants. We'll get that weather graphic off of there. So as you can see here, looks like Andreas has slipped to over 2 seconds back of James Nance. And Dan Piazza, now Andreas Ike on the button, perhaps sensing Piazza now close enough to make a move. Piazza had dropped back to a full second, and now under a half a second back. We'll have to wait and see if he's going to make that move. Meanwhile, Adam Crane getting around Richard Crozier. It looked like Crozier perhaps having an issue, sliding backwards, now in 12th place, so Adam Crane getting by. So we start, we're just now coming up to lap 6. And it is James Nance in first place, having no issues thus far, keeping that car perfectly positioned on track. Just behind him down the track about 2 seconds, it's Andreas Ike. And we do have a report, Chris Willite, Andrew Marquez, and Dennis Fritz all having incidents very close to each other. There's Willite, and there's Alexis Newsom also off the track. Multiple drivers having issues. Let's go back to the Andrew Marquez incident. Perhaps this is what caused it, or perhaps it's just in front. It's Alexis Newsom that causes, or at least begins the incident. We'll skip over to her side, and there it is, just exiting the final corner. Gets loose. Marquez goes off, trying to avoid it. You see Adam Crane slide by there in the background, in a big incident there involving Fritz and Willite. Too bad they're just trying to avoid and get swept up in it as Newsom gets running again. Tough to tell whether she had any damage, but definitely the day has been negatively affected for Chris Willite. We'll have to see if Chris is able to survive this one here. In the meantime, up at the front once again, it's James Nance. So there you can see James Nance hasn't gained any positions. Neither is Andreas Ike. Neither is Don Piazza. Everybody in the top 5 just treading water. But this race basically opening up for Nance, putting now over 2 seconds, 2.2 seconds on Andreas Ike. Of course, anything can happen in the pits. And just as I say that, last time by, Andreas Ike was the fastest man on track, setting the fastest lap of 1:07.64, slightly faster than Nance had done before. So can he claw it back a little bit? Can he claw this gap back? We will have to see. Meanwhile, we will look a little bit further back. Max Kaiser, again, a new driver to Broadcast Friday here on VirtualRacing.Network. And then we can see Cesar Manzato, one of our points leaders, in 7th place. He's lost a position today. Take a look just a tiny bit further back. It's Brendan Burcroft. We've mentioned his name before, but he has his mirrors filled with Matthias Kraus, and also, not to mention, Adam Crane. Those are 2 drivers I would not want to be seeing in my mirror right now if I were Brendan. Nevertheless, he's got to deal with that, and he takes fairly defensive line here. So Matthias Kraus chasing down Brendan. Perhaps a matter of time until Adam gets around Matthias, or Matthias makes a lunge at Brendan. Neither driver using their push to pass at the moment. So we step away from this battle for just a second, and we take a look at Richard Crozier, who just a few minutes ago had a couple of issues, looked like got passed by several drivers, but has regrouped, now finds himself in 11th. Andrew Marquez caught up in that earlier incident with Alexis Newsom, and that dropping him back the order a little bit. And then Alexander Caprone here in 13th. And once again, first time seeing Alexander in our broadcast. Great to have new drivers joining us. Alex Hagland chasing down Alexander Caprone here. We're just keeping an eye on some of the battles that are happening. Alex Hagland trying to get close. Perhaps we'll have a look on Alexander Caprone here in a minute. Just slightly back from that, Radek Sakura, name that we've seen around the iRacing circles, and Alexis Newsom recovered in 16th place. Doesn't look like any damage, but all kinds of time to have to make up. Currently about 33 seconds back from the leader at the moment. So wait to see whether Alexis can continue to claw her way forward. Robin Lennox in 17th place here, Michigan native, trying his best to get back to the front. And unfortunately, his championship hopes, team no bueno. All right, well, I'm just reading that on his on his rear wing there. But yeah, it's not really working out the way that Rob would like, that's for sure. He's not been able to get consistent top 5 finishes, top 3 finishes, and that's what you're going to have to do if you want to take on Adam Crane, Henry Bennett, and Hugo Olsson. Adriano Gomez here, Brazilian in 18th place. He's gained a few positions today. We've got Joseph Peschiota getting around Jeffrey A. Bly there for 19th place. Peschiota up 3 positions. And then Dennis Fritz, as well as Chris Willite. Chris Willite now in 22nd, and then Zachary Gregory shown out of the race. So that is your full running order at the moment. We had that chance to walk through the whole grid, or the whole running order. And we're back up front. Lap 12. What do we got? We've got 2.74 seconds back to Andreas Eit. And then just behind, you can see nothing has changed there. It's Dan Piazza, the Italian, hanging in for that final potential podium position, and has shown a couple of times that he has the speed to challenge Andreas Eit for second, but unable to get it done in the opening moments. So they'll likely be looking to get it done in the pits during that exchange. There he gets very close, as Ike maybe had a little difficulty with that line. Go on board with Piazza now. He struggled right there with turn 1. It almost looked like he took the corner a little too tight on entry and had to correct in the mid-corner. These drivers now 12 laps into these red tires. It being the temperature that it is out there, I don't believe anybody is going to attempt any sort of black tire craziness with the way that these tires are balanced. Yes, these IndyCar drivers do have, in these IR18 IndyCars, they do have these red sidewall tires, and they are the alternate tires that are faster. They do fall off relatively quickly, but under most circumstances they can be managed, and only when it gets very hot and for very long stints can they really be such a nuisance that you might consider the black tire, which is the primary, as it's officially called, the primary tire. That black sidewall tire with white writing means that those are more durable tires. Unfortunately, it's not really balanced out the way that it could be at the moment, and so the black tires are not really ever favorable, as I said, unless it's very hot or unless you have to do an extremely long stint. So there's no requirement to use them in this series, but in some leagues you are required, and that introduces a whole new level of strategy. Taking a look just a tiny bit further back, this is the number 1 driver today, Rick Shiven. Good to have you join us, Rick, and bring in your 5,463 iRating. Certainly contributes to the strength of field, so hopefully it looks like Rick is, if he were to finish in this position, my software says he would gain 21 iRating points. So, you know, come on over and compete in this series and in IndyCar, and very often if you're a top driver you'll find yourself on broadcast here. And I don't know how much longer we can do this with commercialized paints, sort of allowing trading paints to show off whatever anybody wants to put on the side pod of their car for a while, but we may have to change that at some point. In the meantime, if you do have sponsors you want to throw on the side pod and get them shown, just like Wave Italy there. So I think it's Tidal Wave Italy, excuse me. But whoever you want shown on the side pod, of course you got Andreas Eich up in the front, or in second place with his Open Wheels 500 sponsorship. And that's actually not probably, I don't know if it is a sponsorship, but either way, that's what he wants it to say on the side pod, and by being in this race and being up front, you get a chance to show it off a lot. Plus, you get your name mentioned a lot. So anyway, cool to have Rick with his 5,400 iRating join us, and Andreas, no slouch himself, 5,100 iRating. Cesar Manzato back there with a 4,800 iRating. Adam Crane, a 5,200 iRating. Richard Crozier, 5,000 iRating. So you can see this field is no hacks, that's for sure. These are drivers that have been around the IndyCar world and other iRacing series, and they bring their expertise into this series, the IndyCar iRacing series. What makes this series so special is that there's just the one series that has 15 rounds, and we play it out over the year, and that's very different than the other iRacing series, where all of them are running 4 seasons a year, 12 weeks per season, so it's a lot of races every week. There's just the one season and the one race for you to do. So basically just 15 races. Of course, there are 5 time slots that you can race in, but this Friday time slot is the highest strength of field and has been since week 1. So definitely a very challenging series to compete and race in, and for you to finish well and be a series champion like Adam Crane really speaks volumes. So while we were watching that, just pretty much everybody staying in the top 5 exactly where they qualified. Nobody's moved up, nobody's moved down. We've had some close moments as Andreas Eich seeing Dan Piazza behind, once again on the button. Andreas now down to 6 pushes remaining. James Nance out in front with 10, and Dan Piazza behind with 8, as well as Rick Shiven also with 8 as well. So Eric Troiano still with 10. Troiano chasing down Rick. Just have to see whether he's got anything. So now we're going to get to him here in a second, but this driver here in 6th place has gained a position today. Max Kaiser, good to have you join us, or Kaiser, excuse me, good to have you join us here. And by the way, guess who's in 6th or in 7th place? That's right, He did it last time at Road America. He's doing it again this time as he crosses the stripe. It's Adam Crane, the Canadian from Ottawa, Canada. He is our defending series champion, and he is just slicing and dicing his way through the field. So we look to see he's 13 seconds back from James Nance. His last lap, he's in clean air, so his last lap was a 107.85. Nance a 107.93. I'll tell you what, it's looking to me like this field better be ready for Adam Crane to come marching up through it, because Adam Crane right now is the fastest car on track. I mean, that's no surprise. But here he comes. Can he overcome a 13-second gap deficit to the leader, James Nance? We don't know. But we do know that it will only be another 4.6 seconds up to Max Kaiser. There we've got Adriano Gomez entering the pits and coming back out. So we wait to see when the leaders will need to pit. Some drivers definitely going to be fuel saving. And we can see Dan Piazza now using his push to pass up in front, trying to stay with Andreas Eick. So the question here, whenever you've got a tight race like this, where top five are within about 5 seconds, the real question is, when do you undercut or overcut? And it depends on what kind of strategy, how you're feeling with the tires. You know, do you want to come in a lap earlier, get a faster out lap? Are you wanting to have fresher tires at the end of the race? All of these drivers would have gone through this strategy already and considered it, but then would be adapting this strategy as we go through the race. So now we can see Adam Crane sets the fastest lap of the race, a 107.51. Adam Crane flying through the field. The fastest car on track by about a half a second. And at that rate, he's clipping into the lead in front and the overall lead very, very quickly. He may not be able to do it in this stint, but very likely very soon he will be able to. So let's take a look at Radek Sikora, who had an off track here. This was a few laps ago, coming back on the track. Then we had Adriano Gomez having an issue, going off track. And not just off track, through the kitty litter and into the fence, shearing off both sides of the front wing. That is not going to work out well. And he would have to jump into the pits. Then just moments ago, we had Alex Hagland in the keyhole. Looks like gets it a little wide off the edge, but brings it back on track. Not such a big deal for Alex. Alex continuing on in 13th position. So we watch up front. Nance continuing to get it done, now pushing over 4.8 seconds, actually over 5 seconds to Andreas Eick. Just getting some notes at the moment, was just trying not to miss anything for you guys. Andreas Eick finding himself in second place at the moment. Will he be able to hold on? Does he have some magic left in his pit strategy? Has he been fuel saving? All questions that will be answered very soon. We see Dan Piazza still hanging in there with Rick just behind. They appear to be teammates. So once again, pleasure to have teams and teammates joining us for competition. Feel free to send me a note over on Discord. My name's Trevor Greenfield. I'm in the IndyCar community there. can also send me notes through YouTube, leave me some comments, let me know what's going on with you guys. Really appreciate it when you give me some feedback. Keep making the show better and better. And while we're at it, why don't you go ahead and like and subscribe this, like this video and subscribe to the YouTube channel while you're at it. That way you'll get notifications and you'll be able to know when the next race is upcoming. It'll automatically say you should check it out. What's going on here in front? Looks like a lap car getting out of the way as this battle for second place on the track gets so close. It's Andreas Ike in second, leading Dan Piazza and Rick Scheiven. And Eric Troiano just entering the picture there in fifth. So quite a battle ensuing as another lap car getting out of the way there for Andreas Ike, or perhaps pushing a little bit heavy. So that last lap, even though he has not used a push to pass, and we take a look just right behind us, these other cars struggle with this lap car that's just in front. I believe that's Adriano Gomez. Took me a minute to find his name, but Adriano Gomez there. And we can see our first taker, Andreas Ike, slips into the pits. This is the undercut moment we were talking about, as well as Adam Crane. These two drivers thinking alike. Ike out of the second position. Crane coming out of sixth place. They'll both drop down the order as the rest of the drivers continue to circle. So now rejoining in Andreas Ike rejoining in 11th place, and we see Adam Crane just behind in 12th. So we await our leader, James Nance, who is trailed 9 seconds back by Dan Piazza. I'm just going to go ahead and say we didn't see it on the screen, but I believe there might have been a moment with the lapped car of Adriano Gomez, because perhaps we can take a look at that real quick. What happened here? We see Eric Troiano getting by, trying to get by, and these drivers all together here. Yes, in fact, Troiano with a beautiful pass down the inside and taking over third position on track. So we can see, we go back live, we see James Nance continuing to cycle here. About halfway through his 24th lap, on his 25th lap, excuse me now. And we see Matthias Kraus has come into the pits, Andrew Marquez, Alex Hagland, all of these drivers making their first pit stop. And we wait to see, there he is. The leader is in, Nance into the pits. Piazza will continue, as does Troiano. Actually, I take it back. Piazza also diving into the pits. That does leave Troiano, and Troiano will now take over the lead of the race. So we're on lap 26, and he's yet to pit. So here we'll really be able to tell with, as you see Rick Scheiven there directly behind, we'll be able to tell the undercut strategy or overcut strategy, what will pay off. So take a look, Dan Piazza now rejoining the track. Fifth place here is going to be eclipsed by Adam Crane. You see Crane just behind, so looks like Crane has gained overall as Piazza goes wide there at the keyhole. And we await the leaders still to come into the pits. Troiano just about time to make the decision. Do you finally come in or not? Switch back over to him and take a look. And he does enter the pits. There's Troiano with Rick Shivan directly behind. So Troiano and Rick will hand over the lead eventually to this man, James Nance, who, of course, led all those laps and now retakes on lap 27. It's James Nance to the front, and not that far back, just about 4.5 seconds, it's Andreas Ike. As you see, Troiano, they're rejoined just behind Adam Crane, who is right now right behind Dan Piazza. And Crane on the button. Can he get by? You're watching live as he makes a move to the inside. It's Adam Crane. Can he hold it? It appears he does. Will Troiano have his own lunge at Dan Piazza? We wait to see. But the man who is flying through this field is none other than Adam Crane, your series defending champion and your points leader. Not a surprise to see him absolutely torch this track and set his sights. He's now gained 17 places, and you can see Andreas Ike there at the 4 of the screen getting around a lap car, but it's Adam Crane just behind who is on a tear and ready to see if he's got something for Andreas Ike and James Nance. Folks, if this works out the way we're thinking it can, you might be set for a showdown here in Mid-Ohio. Meanwhile, just behind, this battle still going on for 4th place, Dan Piazza and Eric Troiano. And we have another note. Looks like Alexis Newsom having another moment. Same place? Indeed, same place, same thing, sliding off track. One of those things, maybe something not quite set right, or had to use the ARB, or perhaps not getting the tire wear that she would like. As we see 2 virtual teammate cars, or real life teammate cars, but not in the virtual sense. Don't believe. It's James Nance now getting around. So James Nance in the 7 blue car there. See some cones have been left. We've got a couple of notes here. It's Adriano Gomez. That's who, in fact, is that correct? No, here is Adriano Gomez having a moment. Looks like same place. Oh, wow. Really, overcorrection sends Adriano into the outside fence. I think that, yeah, definitely going to have to take a new front wing. And then we had another moment with Alex Hagland. Just after that, Hagland going off in turn 1. There's where your cones went flying. And Hagland continues. Now, this just a second ago, Dennis Fritz out of the keyhole, spinning, coming to a stop, and then almost a stop, and then pulling back forward. So Fritz recovers. And now we take a look. Now, would you believe the fastest man on track overall, the fastest lap, 107.31 for James Nance. He's not ready to concede. He doesn't care whether Adam Crane has been flying through this field. James Nance has not burned any push to pass, and he is flying. He just set the fastest lap at 107.31 with no push to pass. So while I said that, we had this happen on track. If they could show us the right cars. Here we go. It's Dan Piazza. And, oh, Dan Piazza goes off track, and Troiano takes the position. So Piazza feeling the heat of Troiano, makes the mistake, slides off, rejoins in 6th place. So Piazza, once again, having such great speed early on, unable to capitalize on it, sliding back in the order. Just a little mistake is what can kill your whole race in this series. So Andreas Eick here in 2nd. That is not Nance in front, though it's a similar car. So Eick looking to regather in this championship. And while we have just a moment, why don't we go ahead and take a look. We've got Crane a 2nd back, so hopefully we have enough time. And we'll take a look at the current series points. As soon as it comes up, I hope it didn't freeze up for you, because it sure did freeze up for me there. Championship standings coming into this race. Now, of course, there was one other race this week, so you can see Adam Crane and Robin Glennox, as well as Eric Winter, shown with 8 weeks of competition. Everyone else with less, including a couple of drivers at the back, Mark Usher and Vilde Wallen, with only 5 appearances. Now, the main thing to focus on the top 3 here is that they're only separated by about just under 300 points, about 280 points back to Hugo Olsson from Adam Crane. So by that nature, the fact that Hugo has 2 more races that he can compete in, he is very likely, with a 1st or 2nd place finish in some high strength of field races, he will likely take over the points. Now, had Henry Bennett been present for this race, he might have had a chance, with Adam Crane starting so far back again, like in Road America, to possibly take some points away from his competitor, Adam Crane. Hugo Olsson could have also done the same thing, but by nature, Adam Crane, if he comes back and manages to pass Andreas Eick on track and possibly James Nance for the lead, he would end up getting the highest points of the week, and very likely will end up being one of those weeks where, with the rest of the drops that he has to do, this actually could end up working in Adam Crane's favor. So just one of those things. It's hard, a little difficult to keep up with at this point, but at the end of the season, the drivers will get 3 races that they can drop, and so we'll have to wait until round 15 basically to find out who will win this series championship. But nevertheless, Adam Crane trying to do everything that he can to give himself a fighting chance against the ever competitive Hugo Olsson, who apparently just shows up and finishes on podiums or first places. That's pretty much what he does. But he picks and chooses when he likes to race, and perhaps feeling the last couple of weeks he didn't want to compete. Nevertheless, we get a chance to see someone like this man, James Nance, who has shown that he's not Hugo Olsson, he's not Henry Bennett, but even though he's got less iRating than the other competitors on track, such as Andreas Eick and Adam Crane, James Nance is quite quick. And in fact, that last time, he was only 3/1000ths of a second slower than Eric Troiano, and Adam Crane was a little bit slower than both of them. So Adam Crane just passed Andreas Eick while we were just watching that. We knew it could happen, but he's gotten by. Let's take a look at how that went down. Adam Crane setting up to the inside, and there off of the front straight, gets it done. Best place you can possibly make a pass and catch the draft. So take a look back at the live picture here. Crane now starting to open up a little bit of a gap as he sets his sights on the top driver of the day, the relative unknown James Nance, to the IndyCar iRacing series. So as we are on lap 35, Once again, for those of you joining us late, my name is Trevor Greenfield, and you're watching VirtualRacing.Network's live, uninterrupted, commercial-free coverage of the 2021 IndyCar iRacing Series. And I'm so happy to be able to call the race with you in attendance and be able to do this live for the IndyCar Series, IndyCar iRacing Series. All these great competitors coming together week in and week out. Thus far, the story on track has been James Nance, who has basically come out of nowhere. We really haven't seen him in any of our previous broadcasts. Qualified on pole and has now been walking away with this race. However, if you had to say, very close competitive story to the story of the day, it's this man, Adam Crane, who had yet again trouble on both of his qualifying laps, putting him at the back of the starting order. He had to work his way completely through the field again. It's 2 races in a row. For those of you who didn't see the Road America race, you should definitely go back and watch. It was a thing of beauty for Adam Crane coming back to take the victory, and here in Mid-Ohio, showing his amazing skill and talent, slicing through the field, still with 0 incidents, no contacts made with anybody, not dipping a wheel off. Now, Adam, again, in the qualifying, having a couple of problems, but here in the race, just perfection thus far. So, behind him, Andreas Eick, making a series return here on broadcast, and he is, as I mentioned before, always competitive, especially on ovals, but definitely growing his road racing skill and finishing quite well on road races, now starting to show up in the top of the order here in the IndyCar iRacing Series on a road race. As you see Chris Willite getting between Adam Crane and Andreas Eick on track. So while we have a moment, why don't we take a look here at Adam Crane. We can see his lap times compared to Nance. The last couple of laps falling off a little bit. Let's see. Am I reading that correctly? No, I'm actually reading it upside down. So it's backwards of that. The last couple of laps gaining on James Nance and having a couple of laps where he didn't. Now encountering some traffic here, it's Rob and Glennick just in front. Rob's still up in the top 10 of the championship standings, as we just saw a moment ago. So Rob is fighting for position, but not on track in the championship. He doesn't want to lose too much. Not really pulling over and conceding to the much faster Adam Crane. So Crane now dives down the inside. And there he makes the pass on Glennick's. So we can see a little bit further back, Andreas Eick now having to set his sights on when he will get around Glennick's. Crane also now dealing with more traffic up in front. Gonna slow him down a little bit. Take a look at the clean air for James Nance, and at the moment he's not seeing anybody else in front. He did have to get through a couple of cars, but quite a clean track in front. That's exactly what you want to see if you're the leader. Just really tidy there, just right out to the edges of Nance really acquitting himself well here. And definitely a driver that we look to see more of in the future. Hopefully we'll be competing in this series more. But if you look back, it's 6.8 seconds to Adam Crane. Just 6.8 is all that remains from Adam being able to potentially challenge Nance for first. As you can see, continues to... Now, the last couple of laps having to deal with traffic, it's kind of seesawing back and forth, that gap there. Adam Crane losing a bit of time the last couple of laps. So this is quite a battle on track. You've got two cars very evenly matched in terms of pace, Nance and Crane, with Nance able to pull out some faster laps and Crane suffering a bit with traffic, having to deal with getting around. So why don't we ride on board your series defending champion and current points leader as Adam Crane, as he attempts to chase down James Nance for first. So as we head down the straightaway here, that's a complete lap with Adam Crane, who last lapped it at 107.79, not eclipsing James Nance's pace. So Crane not able to do it on sheer pace alone. And we see that it looks like Alexis Newsom perhaps having another issue, this time into the keyhole, sliding off and coming back on track. So a rough day for Alexis, losing 5 positions thus far. But not such a rough day for this man, James Nance, who now approaches Alexis. Alexis, trying to see, still on the lead lap, actually. So this would be to put her a lap down. And we can see Andreas Ike burning one of his remaining pushes to pass. And while we weren't watching Adam Crane, as you can see there on lap 39, Crane setting the purple lap, fastest lap, a 107.1, and now currently finds himself just 5.5 seconds back of James Nance. So, and then this last lap, a 107.42 to Nance's 107.83. So that, again, another gain. So they're over a second gained on the last 2 laps by Adam Crane, who's now down to 4 pushes to passes. Now this is actually very crucial, because if this turns into a late lap showdown between these drivers, as we look on track, and here's Eric Triano now getting around Andreas Ike. It's at the end of the straightaway, favorite place for most of these drivers to pass, and really Triano having a great show today. He won on Wednesday, and it looks like he's on his way to potentially a podium spot here. But the story again is a little ways up the track as Alexis Newsom enters the pits. Adam Crane, that time by with a 107.71, just about even with James Nance. So Nance now 5.5 seconds up the track. We will keep an eye on that battle, as we can see this battle continuing here to heat up. Andreas Eick not ready to give that one up yet. Eick staying on Troiano's tail there, not quite close enough. And we're getting a note that Robin Glennick's having an issue. And just gets it off track and smacks the wall. Right into the wall. So as soon as you go off track there, if you're carrying any speed, is pretty much very little you can do. Rob trying to wiggle it back and forth, probably has some suspension damage. And that is going to make a rough day even worse. Almost. Was that Adam Crane? It was, in fact, Adam Crane. Almost getting into Adam Crane. So, my goodness, the things you have to do if you're Adam Crane just to survive, let alone slice and dice your way through the field. Now, we're seeing it right there. You can see it is Adam Crane continuing the last 4 laps, closing in on the leader, James Nance. That gap just down to 5.3 seconds. With 24 laps to go, we're going to see all of these drivers making their final pit stops. And so the undercut, overcut, amount of time you spent on pit road, all of this is going to be crucial if Adam Crane is going to have a chance to make that pass for first, or if James Nance is going to be able to defend. So this has just been quite a solid show that James Nance has been putting on today, a real clinic. Looks like the car is handling absolutely beautifully. On rails, as we say. As he heads into the keyhole here. Stay on board for a moment and watch his line. You can see on screen the graphic there in the upper right shows you the drivers in the different positions and where they're located on the track at the moment. Nance just really has a very balanced race car. You don't see him getting very loose. This right here is a space where the car wants to get so light coming off the corner, easy to get it wrong. And then, of course, the famous carousel here where the car just really needs to settle right into the perfect groove. You get on the accelerator just perfectly, manage that weight transfer, and back out onto the start-finish straightaway. This corner, turn 1, always difficult to get just right, but again, James Nance, it's getting it done. And we can see now Adam Crane has entered the pits and is taking service. So Adam trying to undercut and get this done in the pits, and we will have to see what happens. Crane rejoining in 5th. So no matter what, Crane looking at a potential top 5 finish as long as he can stay on track. We have another note that Robin Glennick's again going off track, jumping back into the pits. So here, Nance in the pits for his final stop. Let's take a look. You can see on screen how long each driver taking on pit road, as Nance now falls to 3rd with Troiano taking over the lead. And we'll stay on board as we can see James Nance, our leader, making his final pit stop, now rejoining with 21 laps to go. And how close is it to Adam Crane? That's how close it is. You see Adam at the back of the picture there. Crane with a shorter time on pit road, and that playing a role. The gap still closing, but now down to 3.4 seconds for that virtual lead on track. So Crane's mastery continues. Now we can see Alexis Newsom. Another note, another crash. It looks like that car just a little too loose. Not really a crash, just a spin. But when they slow down to a certain speed, that's what happens. So Joseph Pisciata getting around Alexis Newsom there. And looks like Troiano has now entered the pits. And go back to the live shot. There's Troiano. His car up on jacks. And there you can see is that's a lapped car there. And Dan Piazza now comes into the pits. Did we have an incident with Dan Piazza? I'm not sure. But Dan... Yeah, I'm showing that Dan possibly had a speeding penalty. We don't get notifications exactly of penalties, but it does look like he's had to enter pit lane twice, so that's taken him directly out of competition, as Andreas Eich now has the lead on track. And he pulls in for his pit stop. So this will leave Rick Scheiven, the Italian, to take over the lead once again. Wave Italy. Not sure what that is, but takes over. And would you believe this guy, Adam Crane, first into the 106s, a 106.97. Adam Crane getting it done on track and in the pits. He cost himself so much with that early, with the qualifying and having to start from so far back, but Adam Crane is slowly clawing this one back. You see the orange and blue car of James Nance not far ahead. That is for the virtual lead of this race. And we are shaping up for a showdown here in Ohio. This is, of course, round 8 of the 2021 IndyCar iRacing series. You're watching it live here on VirtualRacing.Network. And Adam Crane has been slicing and dicing like a ninja through this field, just able to put the car wherever he'd like. And he's had to do it because I was almost extremely critical of Adam there. But let's just say he made 2 errors on his qualifying efforts, and that put him at the back. He's had to work his way all the way to the front, and with 18 laps to go, it's just a 1.65 second lead up to James Nance in front. And to be fair, Nance just did a 107.22. That was his fastest lap of the race, and you know these are fast laps. Nance is doing a great job out there to keep his car absolutely glued to the track. He just hasn't made any mistakes. He's got 0 incidents, the same as Adam Crane, and yet when he looks in that mirror every lap, it's going to be getting closer and closer because Adam Crane is just 1.7 seconds back. So Crane, having gained 17 places today, this last lap once again goes faster, a 106.95. So Crane taking, as you can see, 1.4 seconds out in the last couple of laps. This is something else to watch, folks. As we can see James Nance doing everything he can. That last lap at 107.06, he's really flying. He's got 8 pushes to pass his left to Adam Crane's 3. Nance is flying, but Crane is even faster. So 17 laps to go. So we have an errant crane, or an errant camera shift there, and Rick Scheiben pulls in. You see Nance fly by on your screen for the lead. And this is what we were waiting for, folks. 16 laps left here in Mid-Ohio. It's a showdown for first place as Adam Crane is within 1.5 seconds and getting closer and closer. That last lap, a 106.73 for Adam Crane to James Nance's 106.97. So Nance keeps going faster. Crane keeps going faster. Crane in the 106s. And we have word that Piazza, who was in championship or in race contention, has crashed, and now his day going from bad to worse. As we go back to the live picture up front, it's Crane still chasing down Nance. Just 1.1 seconds remain now, and Crane undoubtedly throwing everything he's got and the kitchen sink and more, trying to find those extra hundredths of a second and see if he can claw this back. It's anything but for sure that he'll be able to catch and or get around Nance. Nance has been absolutely perfect today, but he hasn't seen anybody right up in his mirrors trying to challenge him. So that will be something to see whether Nance can withstand some pressure from the flying Canadian Adam Crane. And that's not to say that the day hasn't been good for these drivers. Eric Troiano here up 2 positions on the day. Of course, won the Wednesday race, as I mentioned, and now the Brazilian hanging on to 3rd in the high strength of field race. Andreas Eick, he'll probably be happy with this overall finish in 4th, but I think he would have liked to be up on that podium. He's managed to lose a couple of spots from where he started, and that won't make him happy, but showing very well here on the Friday broadcasts and looking to continue his march up the standings. And Rick Scheiben now in 5th, his teammate Dan Piazza dropping out, having a couple of incidents, and that is your top 5 at the moment, with Andrew Marquez a solid, I believe, 20 seconds back in 6th place of Rick Scheiben. So Brandon Burcroft finding his way up into 7th, Max Kaiser in 8th, Matthias Kraus in 9th, and Cesar Manzato in 10th position. Sure, Manzato would have loved to have had a little bit better finish here. Manzato is one of our top championship contenders at the moment, but while it may not be a championship deciding kind of day between Hugo Olsson and Henry Bennett and Adam Crane, this is somewhat decisive moment here as Adam Crane has a chance to really maximize his points haul for the week. This could be one of those races that he ends up needing to bank on at the end of this season, one where Olsson and Bennett get no points, but Crane gets the most. So for Nance, this is his chance to get a big win in a big high strength of field race and cement his name at atop this board of winners here, which has mostly been dominated by Adam Crane and Hugo Olsson. But Nance would love to put his name up there on the record books as well. Don't know whether he's going to be with us for enough races to make a dent in the championship, but he might just decide to come back a few times if this is the type of performance that he's going to get. So once again, Adam Crane continuing to clip into that lead. Last time by a 107.04, but Nance a 107 1.6 last time by, and Nance a 107.08. So just able to pull just a tiny bit back out, just a 8 thousandths of a second, hundredths of a second there. Nance pulling out over Crane, but that's not going to be enough to do it. I think Crane has the type of speed that he can haul in Nance from a second back, no problem. And he has now officially brought it under a second as Nance goes off. Nance loses it. Just as we saw in Road America, the red, white, and blue of Adam Crane got into the mirrors of James Nance. And I think it started getting to his head. See if we can tell exactly what happened. This was after the long straightaway. He just gets on the gas a little bit too much and it spins right around. That's exactly what the series defending champion and the current points leader, this man, Adam Crane, wanted to see. He got given the position, and it looks like Nance here having to deal with getting around some lap traffic. As 2 races in a row, we have our showdown at the final lap spoiled as the driver in front seeing a little bit of pressure approaching. Not to say that that's exactly what happened, but timing-wise, that is what happened. And James Nance, I don't know if he can recover, but 7 seconds back, and I just don't think so. I just don't think there's going to be enough time for him to claw this back. After all, it's been Adam Crane who has overcome. Did he start dead last? No, he didn't. He started 20th out of 23 for this race. And Adam, you know, we're running out of superlatives for what this guy has been able to do in this series. He's shown that he's not afraid of anybody showing up and dropping in out of the blue like James Nance. Drivers that haven't necessarily been racing in the high strength of field races in the Open Series or in this series. He's just not afraid. He quits himself well every time out, rarely ever makes mistakes, and his racecraft is absolutely second to none. Adam Crane, your series defending champion, with 10 laps to go here at Mid-Ohio, and it's just almost seemed like a foregone conclusion. Just the whole race. We knew he was starting from the back, but, you know, with his pace, it seemed like there was nowhere for him to go but the very front. And here you can see Brendan Burcroft getting it wrong out of the keyhole, needing to collect the car. Lexus Newsome making a final pit stop. Dennis Fritz also doing the same thing. So it looks like, as I look at that, we're also having Dan Piazza having another moment, exiting the keyhole, really giving it some gas, and it's going right around. He's back, all the way backed out to the chicane, and I think Dan's just gonna pull it off, and that's it. He's had enough. Real shame as he exits the race. Dan qualifying quite well, showing well today, but once again having issues in the race and spinning off, having some incidents. So Dan will have to regroup after this race and figure out how to get some of this consistency magic, to be honest. Crane, you know, it's the tale of both worlds here, folks. It's really incredible. Crane in his qualifying getting it wrong twice, 2 separate laps, not even able to get in a qualifying lap. Shades of Road America and other drivers that we haven't even seen able to put in very, very fast laps in their qualifying efforts, not making a mistake. And then in the race, the absolute reversal of fortune as Crane able to just show his dominance, slicing through the field, making no off tracks yet, still not having used all of his push to pass, and he has literally decimated the competition, finding himself a master of pit strategy and pace. Adam Crane getting it done here with just 8 laps to go. So that gives us a moment to kind of check out what's going on in the rest of the field. So we've got Troiano, Eric Troiano here in third. He's had an excellent race, showing well, and I'm sure we'll be very happy with that podium, having gained 2 spots today and kept it relatively clean, just had 1 off track. This man, Andreas Eick, with 2 off tracks. Of course, we saw him having an incident earlier and then getting passed by Troiano. So Eick showing well today and putting in great speed. The last lap was a 107.32, so actually having great pace overall, just not able to find the consistency of Troiano and Nance and Crane. Nance, even with that spin, still sticking 3.5 seconds ahead of Troiano. So Eick here burning another push to pass, getting by, and then this man took over the lead, was the is the teammate to Dan Piazza, and Rick is the number 1 car, highest I-rated person for the race. And what did we just see? Troiano having a moment and going off track. It's Eric Troiano who was in third, doing so well, and now is off track, has a broken car, and rejoins the nose cone dangling, no front wing. He'll make a pit stop and try and repair, but this will seriously hurt as he drops back through the field. And what a difficult day now it has become for Eric Troiano, as we have 6 laps to go and Adam Crane out in front. You can see that now, just as we were saying it, this really proves a point here, which is, you look at the fact that Andreas Eick maybe not having the speed overall of Troiano today or getting past. He didn't get his head down. He kept right at it. He stayed in this race, and as a result, he still might finish up in the front, up on the podium. So kudos to him for sticking it out and keeping his head down. And that now moves this man into the top 5 position. Always a great thing to look at on your iRacing stats, and ultimately is the way that you do well in championships. And Andrew Marquez recently up in the points in the Indy Open Series, and trying to do exactly the same thing here with top 5 finishes consistently. He will be finding himself moving higher and higher up in the points for sure. So we take a look here. Max Kaiser in 6th place, gained a position today. Scott Matthias Kraus on his rear wing, though. I don't think he hasn't steered clear of everybody yet. So, sorry, Kaiser leading this group, and Kraus there in 7th. Burcroft just behind in 8th. Burcroft, of course, having an incident earlier, and here we can see Alexis Newsom continuing to have issues. Oh, and really spinning. That was just in front of Eric Troiano. Would have been so unfortunate if Troiano had collected Newsom. And Newsom has now jumped to the pits. So back on track, 4 laps to go. It's Adam Crane out in front and not really looking back. Nance now 4.7 seconds adrift, and Andreas Eick about 10 seconds further back from Nance. So no real threat to Adam Crane except himself. If Crane manages to keep it on track, he should have victory today, and tries to throw it down the inside. The 17 car there, that's Joseph Hischiota. These two friends, or at least these two also part of the same Discord group, the IndyCar community. And Crane moves down the inside of Hischiota. Hischiota not backing out, staying side by side for a bit. So Hischiota not really having the type of finish I'm sure he'd like here. It's a top 15, but I think he'd like a top 10. Meanwhile, Adam Crane just really getting it done. A 107.42 last one. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong driver. James Nance with a 107.42. Adam Crane struggling a tiny bit getting around there with a 108.18. So Nance actually able to claw back a little bit of time, but with 3 laps to go, doesn't seem possible for him to overcome the 3-second gap. So Nance really had a shot at it today, and he was a picture of perfection. Except when it got under a second with the hard-charging Adam Crane, who now finds himself in first after Nance put it off track and then came back on. Nance now trying to claw it back down to 2.7 seconds, 2.5 seconds. We're seeing Adam Crane a 108.53. Could Adam Crane be struggling at the moment? Might Adam Crane possibly be having to do some emergency fuel saving? I doubt it. But you can see Nance this last time taking a full second. Now Nance getting caught a little bit behind some lap traffic. Last time by it was a 107.75 for Nance and a 108.02 as Nance gets a little bit of a wheel out there in the dirt. Didn't affect him. A little bit of wheel spin possibly there from Nance, but he's on the button, and Adam Crane is also on the push to pass button. And Andreas Eich also using up the last of his push to pass. I'm sure Nance very desperate to get around here. So take a look up front. Looks like Crane just getting around a lap car. So this is our final lap as Crane works his way around. Checkered flag is in hand, folks. It's been from the back to the front. He's gained 19 positions today. Adam Crane with an absolutely stunning drive. Not a surprise at all. And James Nance coming home second. These drivers, absolutely an amazing drive today. But the true picture of perfection, Adam Crane, 0 off tracks. He still left 1 push to pass on the board. But that was it. That's about, if you could fault him, that was the only fault that you could throw at him, because his pitting procedure was perfect and he absolutely acquitted himself amazingly well. James Nance second, Andreas Eich third. We wait for this one to go official here. Andrew Marquez bringing it home in first. And, you know, it was just one of those races today where we didn't really know exactly what was going to happen, especially with the way that the cars qualified. Adam Crane so far at the back and Andreas Eich up at the front. Nance up at the front, a new racer to the series. And Crane now continuing to circle. We hope that we're going to see some donuts possibly. But what a masterful drive. It just seemed, as I said before, like a foregone conclusion for Crane. He really, he had the pace. He didn't show it in qualifying, obviously, but he had the pace from pretty much lap 1. And as he was starting to set those laps, we could just tell that he was on his way to the front. And he wouldn't be stopped unless somebody ran him over or ran into him. And that did not happen. So Crane tries to find some space to do some donuts. And does a nice long burnout. Now, if you're in Formula 1, of course, they're getting all upset about that kind of thing with the burnouts. But not here in IndyCar. We love to see those celebrations. Adam Crane doing some deserved donuts there. And now we can finally take a look at the final results for today's race as we hide all the rest of the junk on the screen. We take a look at the final running order. Of course, it was Adam Crane, your winner here, round 8, Mid-Ohio. Second place went to James Nance. Third, Andreas Eick. Fourth, Rick Shiven. Fifth, and Andrew Marquez. Sixth, Max Kaiser. Seventh, Brendan Burcroft. Eighth, Cesar Manzato, who pulled a couple of positions back there at the end. Ninth, Matthias Kraus. Again, probably would have wanted a better championship kind of day. Both he and Manzato would have been looking for that. Richard Crozier in 10th. Eric Troiano, he was in the podium spot, unfortunately spun off and damaged his car, had to regroup, ended up in 11th. Radek Sikora in 12th. Alex Haglund in 13th. Joseph Pisciota in 14th. Jeffrey Eli in 15th. Alexis Newsom 16th. Alexis, a great pace today, just a number of issues really affecting her race car. Andre Caprone in 17th. And move to the end of the order. Dennis Fritz, 18th. Chris Willite in 19th. Dan Piazza, 20th. Robin Glenix, Adriano Gomez, and Zachary Gregory end it. The only thing to really talk about, there are a couple of drivers. Chris Willite is still part of this championship fight, and unfortunately to find himself in 19th, that's going to be a real difficult pill to swallow, as well as for Dan Piazza, who thought he had a top 3 finish, then thought he had a top 5 finish, ultimately ending up 20th place. Just shows you how tricky it is to get it right all of the time in this series. So congratulations once again, though, goes to the man of the moment. It was definitely Adam Crane, who, with this pass here, you can see it. And there you saw, just behind the results, Adam Crane getting around James Nance, who spun off. Crane coming from the back of the field to the front with no issues, slicing and dicing his way. It was like a commercial for one of those makers that does julienne fries too. Adam Crane, just, I mean, everything was a picture of perfection. If you want to look up how to run the perfect IndyCar race, for anybody who's trying to learn how to master this thing, go back and watch this race, because Adam Crane showed how to do it. Once again, absolutely brilliant job by Adam Crane. And let's go ahead and take a look here as we can take a look at our remaining schedule. We just finished with Mid-Ohio, and so now we take a look at the back half of the schedule. And so 7 races remaining here. It's the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal next week. I'm sorry, not next week, but next race. And then we go to the Sonoma Raceway, very familiar course to the IndyCar series. Then the Indianapolis Road Course, always a special race. We were already there. We're coming back, so it'd be great to see again.
Then our final oval of the season at Gateway, always a good race and a great place to see potentially some great strategy in passing on track. We'll have to see how that works out with this package. Road Atlanta just got an update. I heard some people talking about changing out that track, but I'm not sure. Then we have the Laguna Seca infamous IndyCar track. And then finally, Long Beach, the relatively new circuit to iRacing. Beautiful facility and what used to be my home race. Looking forward to all of these remaining races. Should be great as we hope to see more from our series contending drivers Hugo Olsson and Henry Bennett. I'm sure we will see them in the race going forward. And in the meantime, this has been Trevor Greenfield. So we can... It's been Trevor Greenfield. It's been a pleasure to have you with us here on VirtualRacing.Network. It's been our live, uninterrupted coverage of the 2021 IndyCar iRacing Series, Round 8 of 15 Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. So make sure to like this video and subscribe down in the comments, and subscribe to the channel, and also leave us a comment. Let us know you were watching. Let us know you liked it, and we'll try to give you some more of this great coverage here on VirtualRacing.Network. So from myself, Trevor Greenfield, and VirtualRacing.Network, it was Adam Crane, your winner here in Mid-Ohio. We'll see you next time. Once again, Trevor Greenfield signing off. Pleasure. Bye-bye, everyone.